Hey one hey all, welcome back to the channel, and yes, today we are going to be delving a little bit into Transformers Animated once again. This week is going to be a little bit of a Megatron week, I suppose you could say, and we're going to kick things off as we take a look at this. It is the Voyager class Cybertronian mode Megatron. How good is he from the animated line? We're going to find out in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below, also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is Megatron from the animated line. This is the Voyager one. He has a very weird alt mode, but he looks really cool, and man do I like this fusion cannon. The articulation is kind of second to none. There's a lot to like here, but how good is it overall? You know, when we give grades to his look, to his articulation, and most importantly to that transformation. Let's find out together when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy.
With all of the talk recently about the Studio Series 86 Megatron, we're going back in time a little bit and taking a look at another gem. This is the Voyager class Cybertron mode Megatron from Transformers Animated, and man oh man was this a great offering back in the day. Granted, the Cybertronian mode plane, I suppose we'll call it, is definitely Cybertronian in every sense of the word possible. It rolls because it does have a couple of wheels on the bottom, as well as one that kind of flips here, so it actually rolls really nice. I assume that this is a plane and that it's supposed to fly. Not much to say about the alt mode, though this guy does come with... He comes with this set of instructions. I don't even know if you need them. They're pretty easy to follow though. And of course the other side of this being a Voyager is his bio, which basically talks about how much of a tyrant he is, and he's the stuff of lore and legend, but he's not a monster, he's a warrior. You know, worse than a monster. A warrior that's worse than a monster. That's the way Megatron is basically described. I'd say pretty accurate. So here we have Megatron. We're going to do the transformation. And then we'll start giving the guy some scores. I'm going to begin by actually taking the fusion cannon off altogether. Though, to be fair, you could technically leave it on. It is connected up here, and it's plugged in back here as well. So, I'm going to begin by picking off. There we go. Pick that off, and then pick that off. You could leave it on. I wanted to take it off though for a specific reason. There's an automorph feature right here. If you move this blade over, then the other one goes all the way down, and you basically get this like bladed fusion cannon thing. You can certainly leave them on the sides, but if you want a fusion cannon that looks a little more fusion cannon-y, I suppose, this is one way you could certainly go. So I'm going to lay that off to the side for now. We're going to begin by bringing in the wings here on the side, I guess we'll say, and we're going to, let's see, split the arms up there if they didn't already split on you. We're also going to separate the back here because that's going to end up being his knees, and we're going to bring those down. Now, I tend to lift that up. I only lift it up because it's easier than I find to unpeg the legs and unpeg the legs. There's a little rectangular tab that goes into a slot right there, and we can straighten the leg out and turn it around, straighten the leg out and turn it around, maybe turn them the other way. Yeah, because that's the back. We're going to open out a toe and a heel. We're going to open out a toe and a heel. We're going to bring that piece down over his waist, and we're going to bring the entire body down and flip the head up. But as we flip the head up, you'll see the arms went all the way out to the side. This guy is getting kind of big. I'm going to stand him up, and we're going to finish off the arms. So for those who didn't follow, because I know I did it quick, basically the legs turn to the side and fold up over, and you bring them down, and you just fold out a knee and a heel here. I love that the two arms go in front of the chest. As soon as you move the head up, or if you move the arms out, then either if you move the head up, then the arms go out to the side and the chest closes. Or if you move the arms out, then the head automatically comes up and the chest still closes. Once this is done, straighten out an arm, rotate a shoulder, bring it down, and over here, again, straighten out an arm, bring the shoulder forward and bring it down. You'll notice that we have that piece still left there. We're going to come over here to this side, and we're going to put that on like that. A lot of people fold it in underneath like this to get it as close to the arm as possible. Some people leave it all the way out to the side. It's up to you. Unfortunately, no, this cannot go flush on his arm. Personally, oh, and it does like to apparently come off, though I do feel like this is fairly tight. Personally, I tend to keep it more like this. That said, I tend to also not have the blades left down, but that's just me. Let's start giving this guy some scores. The transformation is very simple, very elegant, very straightforward, but you know what? It's fantastic. 10 for the transformation. Besides for a 10 for the transformation, let's do the scores for the look of the guy, I guess. Starting from the feet and working our way up, the red toes. By the way, there's a lot of translucent red plastic here. For anybody who complains about the use of clear or translucent plastic, as I've always said, man, it's always been used. It's been used for years and years and years. It's just as fine as any other plastic. Here's another case in point. This thing is now a good, what? I think it came out in like 2008 or something, so it's a good 15, 16 years old. And Maximal 10's Megatron has held up quite fine despite all of the translucent plastic. I digress. The red toes, that's fine. The gray heels, that's fine. The black on the shins and whatnot, that's fine. Though, admittedly, the little details like here and here that are black probably should be gray, but that's a little debatable. The diamond that's red on the knee is fine. The gray thighs, that's fine. The black on the I'll say waist here, that's all fine. The red on the sides, the gray for the whole torso, that's all fine, though arguably the gray might have benefited from being slightly darker. The gray on the shoulders, the red and the diamond on the outside, the biceps being red, the forearms being gray, the hands being like a blackish color, though the fingers are translucent here. The Decepticon logo shouldn't be gold on red. That should be a black color with a traditional purple Decepticon logo. And the head is actually really well done. In fact, I'm going to close in on the head for a second just so you can see how nice that sculpt actually is. What a really crisp, detailed sculpt for the head. And of course the face is a darker color than the helmet around, as it should be. As a result, I'm going to say that the score for the look of the guy is, I'm going to say a 9.5. I think that this gray should have been a little darker. This should have been an actual Decepticon logo. I'll say a 9.5. It's really, really, really good. It's super close. Just a couple of minor little things. Honestly, I think the Takara version that was mostly painted silver but did have the correct Decepticon logo is probably a little bit better, though that one's hard to get. This one's still pretty darn fabulous. So we have a 10 and a 9.5 and 9.75 so far. Let's do the articulation for this guy. We have a head that goes left and right. I guess technically it could go up and down, but I wouldn't because it's going to start the automorph. Ratcheted shoulder all the way around, ratcheted out to the side. We have a bicep swivel, that's also soft ratchet. We have a double elbow, we have a wrist rotation, we have a waist rotation, which again, if you lift this up, I think you'll get, no, you're not going to get much more. Again, this arm technically can do everything that the other arm can do. I'm not going to move it. The fusion cannon is pretty heavy, but if you put the elbow up, like, it will hold. Like, if you move the arm, the ratchets that are in there will hold the fusion cannon, no problem. Leg all the way forward, soft ratchet. Goes way back on a soft ratchet. Way out to the side, if not perfect, as much as you're going to need. Thigh swivel. Super duper deep, deep knee. Bring that down. And toe and heel forward and back. No ankle tilt. No ankle tilt on the guy. With all of that said, I mean, ankle tilt would be nice, and that's literally about all I could want. I'm going to say again, you know what? We had a 9.5 for the look, we had a 10 for the transformation, and not for nothing, just so you can see, because I'm after saying a lot about how this guy is a Voyager, and I think that the Studio Series 86 Megatron will probably be like old school size, larger Voyager, a la this guy, right? Like, this is actually a fairly small Voyager compared to this guy, who scales well. That's Toy World's hegemon. He scales well with a lot of Optimuses, but like he came out in like 2014, maybe even a bit earlier than that. So he's kind of old school scale a bit, but he will stack up, I think, to 86 Optimus really well. And he does turn into the pistol that everybody wants to have. So I don't know what they're going to do for 86, but I still feel like Toy World's hegemon is the way to go. I digress, because we're talking about animated, not 86. He was getting 10 for the transformation, 9.5 for the look of the guy. I'm going to say, though, the articulation, missing an ankle tilt is it. I'm going to say 9.75 there. He was getting a 9.75. That's 9.75. Overall, this Megatron, even now, all these years later, is fantastic at a 9.75.
And here we are once again, and here he is, and you know what? He is splendid. He has a ton of heft. He closely matches the animation. Not perfect, but pretty darn close. Yes, there's a heavy use of translucent plastic, but it's as robust as any other plastic. I know a lot of people get really gun-shy and say, oh no, it's very brittle. It's really not. It's, you know, it must be an environmental factor or something where you live. I've never personally ever had issues with it, no more than any other plastic, and it's always been used. It's not a new thing. That said, I think it's used to good effect here, because you do see the sides light up, and his feet, and his fingers, and his biceps. I mean, it's a lot that, if you have the right light behind it, really gives this guy a striking silhouette. In terms of articulation, for the time, I mean, it's bonkers excellent. Maybe a couple of little range of motion things here and there, but generally speaking, you know, ankles would have been nice, but generally speaking, this pretty much can match up to a lot of modern day things. So a successful look, successful articulation, and the transformation is pretty good with everything kind of locking in solidly, even if the resulting alt mode is pretty darn weird. But what do you expect for something Cybertronian? I love the fusion cannon. I do wish that this tabbed in a little bit tighter, and while you can sort of fold it under his arm a bit, like underslung, we all know that it's not exactly the way it should be mounted on his arm. I think that this was necessary in order to accomplish what they wanted by having the armature out here, but, and it doesn't ruin things, but I think it could have been handled just a little bit better. That said, it's a tremendous Voyager. Even to this day, he is quite fun, quite excellent. Perfect? No. Fantastic? Yes. Let me know what you think about the Voyager class Cybertronian mode animated Megatron. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. And please, not for a moment, not for a second, don't forget that you right there, somehow, some way, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.